Hello, Internet! Sorry for the late start. I was talking about stocks with Max. I'm blaming this all on you. This is Fanfiction Contempt Theater 9002, and I am your host, SneakyDevil. Axe and Matin are both here today. Nailed it.
God
Good job.
damn you! Do not encourage Isley's stupidity.
Declined.
You know what? Let's make this short, because I'm gonna go watch the My Hero Academia movie after this.
Yeah, you're gonna go do that? I see how it is.
It's a good movie.
I said afterwards, Sneaky.
Up to you, thoughts.
Oh, sweet Christ, who turned off night mode on Twitch? Why?
That's a good movie.
There's
this thing that happens. If someone had told me it happened, I would have watched the movie way sooner.
Yeah, exactly, right? Alright, so today we've got our normal selection. So anything you're feeling specifically today? You want some... You feeling Sekirei a little bit more? Or do you want to go with Bleach?
Oh, let's just do Sekirei, because at least that is, and I can't believe I'm gonna say this, a change of pace relative to Bleach.
Fair enough. Bleach Sekirei it is. What?
I wanted to report
God,
to
you son of a whore!
So, I got up to chapter 13 on that I Will Never Die story.
Oh, yeah? Yeah?
Goddamn demented lemming.
So, as it turns out, that first chapter you guys read was supposed to be the updated chapter with grammar fixes.
Oh!
Yeah, that was in the author's note. I went back and fixed earlier chapters that had a lot of grammar issues. Just like, you're a fucking liar. Did it?
Well, no, there are three possibilities. The author's an idiot, possible.
Yeah.
The author's a filthy liar, the most likely.
Yes.
Or they really did attempt to fix it, and sweet God, in that case, you should go join the Adaptus Mechanicus.
It was, that story continues to get worse and worse, by the way.
Oh, I'm not surprised that a Sailor Moon, Oh My Goddess, Ranma 1/2 DBZ crossover continues to get worse. Color Me absolutely
and Tenchi
shocked.
Muyo, apparently.
And Tenchi Muyo, of course, right.
Can't forget that.
So, if you had to pick between Naruto Sekirei and Harry Potter My Hero Academia, what do you want to lose faith in first?
My Hero Academia, so hopefully by the time the show ends, I can go watch the movie.
And just, are you sure? Are you hoping
Here's the thing, if we
cleanse
do it at the start, then, like, I can just forget about it, right?
Alright, so
because I'm sure there'll be a different piece of garbage that'll anger me.
But what if it takes all stream?
Then I'll watch the movie tomorrow, and I'll watch some Turn A Gundam tonight.
That's fair enough. As always, I am required
Here's the thing,
to mention...
it's not like I care that much about Turn A.
I am required to mention to every last one of you that as per Twitch's guidelines, you are not to contact the author in any form or fashion. However, you do have access to the link in the Discord down below, if you care to follow along. So let's get into it. This is Harry Potter My Hero Academia. And the title is called Wiccan. A true hero is not measured by the size of his strength, but the size of his heart. Zeus, Disney Hercules, 1997. Female Harry.
What?
I'm sorry, what were those words that just crossed your mouth?
What? Which ones?
Did he really
Yes, his summary for this story
is a quote from a Disney movie.
Look,
and making sure to let us know it's female Harry.
Yes.
I hate Disney as much as the next company, but they don't deserve this.
So this is, bar none, the most useless summary we've ever encountered. Because we've had author's note summaries before. Those at least were talking about the story. We have a quote from a Disney movie from Jesus Christ. 22 years ago. Oh my god.
I was only 4 years old when that movie released.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna go listen. I'm gonna go put the Hercules soundtrack on in the background because that and Aladdin just had fantastic soundtracks.
From a hero. Anyway, Harry times Shoto, and also characters featured Izuku and All Might. Favorites 2,000. Words 43K. Reviews 255.
I hate every person on the planet.
Ooh. I have to say, one of the most offensive things I've ever seen is when they shorten Harry's name to Hari to represent female name, and it's just like, I despise you utterly.
You've done nothing.
You are the sort of person that would have a child and name them like Yeet McYeatface or something like that.
Luckily, Child Protective Services will not allow that.
Just no, you can't do this to your child. Please stop.
Just so you know, author's note. The name Shugazanade means the world freer, and Shugazanade is a legendary Arabic queen immortalized as the narrator of all 1,000 stories in 1001 Nights.
My soul with that pronunciation.
Thank you. God damn it, Lauren. That's why you're never allowed to reproduce. Chapter 1. Yui Academy! ! He had been waiting to hear those words
It's
for
UA.
years.
Why would you spell it like that? It's literally the letters UA.
Because, Max, they're a fucking weeb, and they don't understand that it's just UA. And they don't understand that the reason All Might is yelling state names is because he went to America. Which, incidentally, I will say, the motion...
building says UA on it, though.
I know.
It does.
Looked at episode 1, if you looked at episode 2, or read any of the manga...
Also, I will say this. I think probably the most impressive feat of the English dub is that All Might doesn't sound stupid screaming the state names.
See, that's because they got Piccolo's voice actor.
No, I know. I'm
used
just
to
saying. I
yelling.
genuinely think that's one of the most impressive things.
God damn it, Arn.
Arn, don't encourage him.
And
if I encourage him, I don't mean encourage his god-awful pronunciation. We don't need more of these in our lives.
And although it had only been yesterday when his hero proclaimed these precious 5 little words, Izuku still had difficulty believing it. And after he accepted, and of course, after he accepted, and of course he accepted, to inherit All Might's power, the hero gave him his address, asking Izuku to come for dinner so they could talk about training and so All Might could introduce someone to him. This is it, Izuku declared. He licked his now dry lips, staring in awe at the big Western-style house in front of him. He could barely contain his excitement. Izuku couldn't believe in this. What?
That's what's written.
All the author had to do was get rid of the N in that sentence and it'd have been fine.
He closed his eyes, grinning widely and holding the small piece of paper in his hands as if it was his last lifeline. What is he, fucking Naruto?
No, to be fair, Izuku Like, when he got that acceptance letter, it looked like he might break it. It looked like he might, like, actually ruin it just trying to hold it.
No, I mean the whole closing his eyes and grinning foxily wide, and it's just like...
Grinning widely.
Yeah.
They just said he's grinning wide. They're just trying to, and this is, to be fair, this is actually difficult. They're trying to give you the sense of Izuku's general over-animatedness through a purely text medium, which is incredibly difficult because Izuku is a drawn character.
Well, I mean, not only that, the thing is that it's very easy to, as Max can tell you, I'm fairly adept at adding in little ticks to the characters to make them seem a little bit more animated. And it's fairly easy to do it. You just have to know when and where. And how
Just
to describe
don't be
it.
shit.
Yeah. Just get good. Duh. I think you should change the sin count to do-it-yourself parachute testing.
You know what? That one's actually pretty funny. I'll give him that.
Yeah, I'll give him that. Alright.
Okay.
There you go. The green-eyed boy squealed. This was a dream come true. It was almost better than being given the opportunity to be a hero. Wow, someone snickered from behind him. You truly are a fanboy. I thought he had been exaggerating. A fanboy? Had he said all of that out loud?
I do like that was one thing they kept. They're like, no, people will absolutely... Sorry. Sorry about that. That they were like, yeah, there would be, like, people... Even if they had superpowers, there are totally people who would be like, did you see Superman, guys? I think it was a nice touch, because a lot of fiction where they make superheroes commonplace...
Right.
tend to act like that wouldn't happen. And the thing that I think a lot of those authors try to forget when they're going for realism is that, no, it would be incredibly realistic to idolize people that can leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Well, I mean, it's not only that, it's also the fact that, like, you're still going to, like, we have special forces. So we have special forces movies that idolize it. We have a military, so we have a bunch of military movies. You know, if there's superpowers, there's still going to be superpowers movies, except they're probably going to be a lot more gritty. And then there's also going to be...
possibly feature cameos from the real people.
Also possibly have Adam Sandler in them.
No, anyway, I was just saying, there's one series I've read, it's called Wearing the Cape, which is actually... It does a pretty good job of, like, looking at it from a lot of different perspectives. Things like international cooperation.
Right.
How superheroes would work in the U.S. justice system.
Right.
And even things like the fact that superheroes do dangerous jobs and want to protect their identities.
Right.
I would say, at least I didn't know if I was going to go on, because I wasn't sure if you'd let me, because I didn't want to drag this down.
I'm following.
So what the author decided the U.S. government would fictionally decree is the government's going to keep an incredibly secure database, and it will know who the heroes are, and then we will allow heroes to appear in court as their masked identity, because the court knows who they actually are.
Right.
No one else gets to, but we do.
Yeah, I follow that.
I would say it also helped them get around a problem that this came up super early in Spider-Man's career. Which was, oh, there's all this Spider-Man merch. How the fuck do I make any money off of this? It's not like I can open a bank account or get checks addressed to Spider-Man. And so by having those, I don't know if fictional identity, but, recognized identities
Right.
that the government knows who they actually are, they'd be able to get, like, money from royalties and
Right.
stuff like that.
No, yeah, it makes sense.
So I just enjoyed it because even if it wasn't the most well-written book, it took a surprisingly realistic view.
That's fair. That's fair. Max and I do that all the time with fan fiction, and we're just like, I hate this in general. It's not that great, but it's got a interesting idea or interesting take on an idea, so I'm still gonna read it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Our chat was a lot of blah. I hate the oops, did I say that out loud trope? It's so stupid. Honestly, I have never personally had that happen to me in my life. I can't say I've ever seen anyone else in that situation before.
I mean, I've seen things where people will say something then be like, oh shit, I said that in the hearing of people other than I explicitly intended the person to hear it.
Well, yeah, so correction, I have seen events where it's like someone said a poorly timed joke or something like that. I've seen that, but I'm like, in general speaking, of just like you're standing there thinking about something and you just like accidentally say your entire thought process out loud.
Yeah, it's called thinking out loud. I've seen that happen to people, and I've had that happen to me at least once.
I've seen the occasional thing where like a guy will be like, oh man, like he'll be talking with his buddy, be like, oh man, blank chick was super hot, and blank chick somewhere in the room or around the corner or whatever is like, comes around the corner and the guy's like, ah, fuck.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But it's still not the
But, like,
trope,
that's the
though.
closest I've ever seen to that happening in real life.
That's still not the trope of, like, I'm just gonna stand here in this public space and think about something really embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like, oh, I'm so embarrassed I said that out loud. And, yeah, it's just so silly. So silly. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's see, blah blah, you're truly a fanboy, blah blah, he's mortified, blah blah, oh my god, there was a girl standing there, okay, that's fair enough. He does get that way when fucking Ochanko.
I would say, even when, like, Frog Girl shows up, he's like, oh, I can't handle this.
Let's see, a raven brow raised in amusement, and the girl smiled.
Ravenbrow, eh?
I mean, I've heard of hair described as raven black before, but I've never heard just the animal as a hair descriptor. Her raven hair.
But it's not even that. It's the problem is they're saying a raven brow. Like, I don't think this dumbass understands what a brow is. It's your forehead.
Well, they mean I know what they mean. They're trying to say the raven.
I
black
also understand what they're trying to say, but the author's dumb.
Yes, I know. It's just cupping her cheek with her right hand, which wasn't holding any grocery bag, because that's important to say, and turned around as if looking for something.
I guess they're trying to say the left? See, author, this is the problem. This is a problem where you've called attention to something.
Hey, Vision. Thanks for joining us.
Yo! You say, you've called attention to something that you didn't need to call attention to.
Yeah,
because now we're like, why? Is she supposed to be holding grocery bags? Is it important for her to hold grocery bags?
What? Really? Where is the girl? She asked with mock surprise, her heavy accented voice sounding more amused than anything. Izuku felt like crying, or at least apologizing over and over again, and then burying his face in the ground like an ostrich. And the burying.
Yes.
Yep.
And the burying.
Before he could decide, though, the girl snickered once more. "You're cute," she smirked with mischief written all over her face. "I'm not." She nodded. "So cute, like an uke," which means a bottom bitch. You know,
Pretty sure
in the
that's
gay sex.
not how you should talk to like. Look, call your best bro a bottom bitch. Fine, you're making fun of him.
Hello,
You
random
don't say-
person.
you don't say that to
look
someone
like
you
you're
literally
taking up
just
the
met.
ass.
Yeah, that's
How is that for agreeing to someone? Hello, random person. You look like you're stupid and you take it up the ass.
Like, I've got news for you. That's how you start a fight. Like, Sneaky, if someone, it doesn't matter, guy or girl, just walked up to you and was like, "Yo, you look like you take it in the ass," like, that's when you start swinging.
Oh, I mean, it's either, yes, I do, or it's a, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
No, here's the thing. Even if the answer is, yes, I do, it's still justification to start swinging.
it's so
random.
random, yeah.
But it's random and horribly offensive. Like, it's like a guy walking up to a girl and being like, "You look like you like to get choked or something." Like, okay, you're a creep, and I'm never talking to you again.
You know what it is? No, I was gonna say it's more like, you know, a guy walking up to a girl and being like, "Yo, baby, I bet you have rape fantasies with me." It's just like, what?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's quite that, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
How has this escalated so much?
What? Because the author escalated it, Max!
He sputtered, his face burning. Before he could be teased further, a figure appeared beside them. Izuku almost hugged the man. "I am here," All Might smiled down at them in all his glory. The green-haired boy could have broken down in relief at the moment. His hero had come to save him. The girl wasn't even fazed at the hero's presence. She merely looked at him and smiled fondly. It was then Izuku noticed she was foreign!
What? Really, Izuku? You didn't catch that sooner.
The accent, the accent probably should have been the immediate tip-off.
Not even just the heavy accent.
Oh, I mean,
Once
not,
again,
not only that, it's just like, I don't know if you noticed, but Japanese people and British people have a bit of physical differences.
nah.
I just realized you're not Japanese. Oh wow, it took you that long to figure out.
Anyway, enough that
Blah, blah.
stupidity.
He couldn't see the color of her eyes, which were hidden behind red-tinted sunglasses, but it was clear she was beautiful and exotic. Author. Izuku can barely get away with observing a woman without breaking down into foam mouth trope. And you're really gonna have him give a in-depth inspection of her?
Like, here's the thing. The only time he ever does in-depth inspections of women without breaking down is when they're in costume.
I was gonna say when their quirks are going on.
Well, yeah, like when they're in costume and they're doing something, I suppose I should say. Because it's both.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's pretty much gotta be both, and then it'll be like, oh, look at the costume. Costume's designed for this, that, and that. Or, oh, so I see how that works. Like, other than that, it's, oh, that's a pair of tits. I don't know how to act.
Basically. Her short and curly raven black hair was cut short in a stylish way.
Okay.
Just like they've really advanced drink of gin and tonic. Oh, God. Oh, what style was her hair in? Oh, it was a very stylish hair. That doesn't tell me anything.
For all I know, like...
For all I know, you consider bowl cuts. You consider Luke Skywalker bowl cuts stylish. You hack of an author.
Sure, Sneaky. It tells us at least one fucking thing. Oh boy.
Sup, Birdie?
Hi,
Birdie's
Birdie.
here.
The author is a brainlet.
Look, we didn't need that particular gem to figure it out.
We figured that out at the summary, okay? And he could see a beauty mark under her right eye. I thought she was wearing sunglasses. Unless it's like on her cheekbone. She was wearing a white tank top under what looked like a red and gold football jacket. Gotta get those Gryffindor colors in. And black shorts.
How the fuck does Izuku know what a football jacket is?
I'm unsure.
Maybe there's a football-based hero in Japan for some reason.
The author couldn't find their own ass in a dark room with a map, compass, and flashlight.
Well, yeah, you made the room dark.
Exactly. He then noticed that there was a burn mark on her right hand and arm, like a tattoo. He just couldn't recognize what type of bird it was. Anyone want to bet what bird it is?
A cockatoo.
Nailed it. The correct answer was actually Phoenix, but you were close.
Yes, the cockatoo and the phoenix. Very similar.
Yes, I'm glad you agree. It's a fucking tit, like a breast with wings. Oh my God. I don't know why they ever named a bird a tit.
Because some dude had been out in the woods for like 7 months and was like, man, I wish I could see a tit. And then he saw a bird no one had seen. And decided to make a great joke.
Indeed.
Unlike me.
Probably. Anyway, so, blah, 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 blah. Your little heir is cute, the girl pointed out. Izuku buried his face into his hands when All Might threw his head back and laughed. Indeed. Now, Harry Hime? He raised his head a little at the name. It was really unique for a girl. It's 'cause it's not a fucking name in the first place. Maybe it was a nickname? All Might made a motion to the girl as he held her up, sitting her down in one of his muscular shoulders. Apparently his shoulder reformed into a seat that can be sat in.
I mean, I don't know if they've done this in the show, but like when they make someone as comedically muscular as All Might, it's not uncommon for them to just put someone, like, flex and put someone on their arm.
I know, and I'm not commenting on that part. Sitting in his muscles.
Maybe she's nestled in between his shoulder and his pec. I don't know,
He's
man.
just flexing so hard. Meet in Midoriya Izuku. He smiled a little nervously, wondering if this girl was the person All Might wanted to introduce him to. The girl waved back lazily. That mischievous smirk of hers was back. Why is this necessary? Like, okay, so when someone is described as having a mischievous smirk, it's typically because they then followed up, like, so... Yeah, so education time. Difference between a visual and a written medium. So in a visual medium, you can just have the character smirking, and that is able to tell us the character's general attitude, their facial expressions at rest. That is able to tell us their attitude, and you don't really need to follow up too much on that because it's visual and we can see it. But when you write it down, it is usually a good idea to follow up a mischievous smirk being specifically mentioned by having them do something to imply why they're, explain why they're smirking. Be like, them saying a comment or something like that. And I mean, yes, in this case, the author does sort of follow it up with then All Might saying, Midoriya, this is my daughter, Harry. But to be more in line with being mischievous, like, it's one thing just to be like, oh, and then she smirked, and then All Might said it. But if you're gonna go like, oh, she's a very mischievous character, very, very trickstery, then having her say it would have been a better means of, I'm Harry, All Might's daughter, and then he would have sputtered, and he'd been like, what? And then All Might could have been the straight man in this joke, being like, oh, no, she's my adopted daughter.
Yeah.
And yeah, Aaron, I already told them about that. By the way, is this a Harry Potter My Hero Academia cross? Yes. This is a My Hero Academia Harry Potter crossover in which Harry is female, and we don't know anything else about the story because the author decided to have their summary be a quote from a Disney movie in '97.
And here's the thing, right? There is some potential between Harry Potter and My Hero Academia. Like, it would be vastly differing skill sets for vastly differing people. Like, and what about wizards with quirks? Like, there's a lot of interesting stuff to look at there. Or does magic interfere with a quirk? You know, like, what if Izuku didn't get all for one? What if Izuku became a wizard?
What if Izuku didn't have a quirk because he was magical instead, and magic stops quirks from happening or some shit?
Yeah.
Yes, there is potential there, but of course, no author's ever going to tap into that.
No, of course not. I would just say, and then from there you can also do interesting stuff like, well, then who ends up with one for all?
Well, I mean, then you could also do
or
shit
all for
like
one,
if,
rather.
Harry Potter,
Or no, one for all. God.
As cliched it is, as cliched as it is, Harry Potter ends up in the My Hero Academia world, because he got pushed through the Veil of Death instead of Sirius, because he actually reached Sirius in time, but he was the one that got punched through it instead.
Right.
But the problems with any sort of cross when it comes to My Hero and Harry Potter is either Harry Potter is going to be entering the My Hero world knowing magic, knowing a bunch of magic.
Some of which is incredibly, incredibly important, because think of how many villain problems Harry could solve if he just had the nuts to use Avada Kedavra.
Deku is Harry Potter, but he's a squib. As I was saying, the problem is that you're going to end up with a One Punch Man light scenario, in that either Harry Potter ends up in My Hero Academia knowing spells, or knowing a decent amount of spells, and just kind of having to wing it from there. And these spells, obviously, are going to be a bit more esoteric than your typical quirk. Because most quirks, which I give kudos to My Hero Academia for, still have biological ramifications. Like the tape guy, if he uses his tape too much, it uses up all the water. Well, it uses up his water reserves, so he gets really dry and cracked skin. Because, adhesive requires...
Yeah.
There's some other like...
If Izuku isn't fucking careful, he fucking murders himself.
Yes, but I was talking more about natural quirks, like, Half and Half Dude, of whatever the fuck his name is.
Todoroki?
Todoroki, yeah. If he uses his ice quirk too much, he literally freezes himself. Even though he does have some frost resistance, he can still actually freeze his cells and make them burst. Same thing for the fire
which,
sap.
similarly, Endeavor has the problem of Endeavor could never go like crazy flame man all the time because he'll burn himself up.
Right, exactly. So, like, there's still biological components, but magic kind of, like, doesn't have that problem.
Well, I would say, even the ones that don't have biological components, like, oh my god, I can't think, Shadow Man.
Well, yes, Birdie. My point being is that if you're going to have... The problem is trying to put Harry Potter into the My Hero Academia universe. Is either he's going to be completely canon Harry, who knows jack all for spells, or he's going to be, you know, like, post, you know, canon Harry, AU, where he knows a bunch of spells.
Hopefully learned how to do a few things beside Wingardium Leviosa.
And so
he's not going to be much
the
use.
problems that stem from that, which is what I was trying to get to, is the fact that either Harry's going to be extremely overpowered compared to every other hero, because, you know, he's going to be able to teleport and turn off gravity and summon things, and literally do everything every other hero can do, except basically no downsides to himself. Or he's going to basically have no spells, and the ones he does have are more or less going to be useless, and it's going to be basically Mr. Potato Head Harry Potter edition again, but in the My Hero Academia verse this time around, because Harry is basically fucking useless, and can't do anything. Yeah, there's... It has potential, but there's going to be major pitfalls no matter how you try to swing it, and it's going to take a lot of effort and thinking, which I realize is something in short supply these days, to get around those pitfalls.
Fanfiction offers.
Yeah. But anyway, let us continue. Sometimes it scared her how she was already used to this life. Sometimes it terrified her how, aside from nightmares, she barely thought about Hogwarts anymore. But Harry, male pronoun, wanted to still be selfish for once. She wanted to hold on to the male Slytherin...
Art, if that was the case, it might actually be fucking useful in the My Hero universe. Probably viewed as excessive, but useful.
An extremely powerful Expelliarmus literally just de-arms people. I could buy that. What about the other way around, Deku sent to Hogwarts? Well, since Deku doesn't have magic, unless you claim that the energy that makes up One for All is magic, then Deku would be in a abandoned castle and confused as to why he's there. And then he'll leave. And then the story's over.
Or if, like we said, you go, you know what? Magic stops,
Magic stops quirks.
Magic stops quirks, and then you're like, that's why he's in Hogwarts? I'd be like, okay. You can do that. But then you're going to have to eventually get to a point where he goes and's like, so can I go be a magic hero? And everybody goes, no. People with quirks are terrifying. They'll beat the shit out of us. You still have to observe the statue of secrecy.
Yeah, there is a lot of pitfalls you have to work around.
Which isn't to say we don't think someone could do it, but we certainly think this untalented hack can.
Not only that, I don't think anyone can do it. I don't recommend authors unless they have a very solid idea of what exactly their goal is and what exactly they're writing for this section. If it's anything but a one-shot, just give it a hard pass. Just shelve it and be like, you know what? That was a nice little daydream of mine, but I'm going to try and move on to something that I can actually work on. Because there's no real point, and this is why I don't like authors like Quatermass and Sakura Demon Alchemist. Quatermass is getting up to this point, but Sakura Demon Alchemist is an author who has over 300-something stories, but none of them have more than like 3 chapters. And she's actually gotten worse at writing compared to some of her earlier work. Because she's never actually written a story. She's written little ideas, and people keep telling her they're great and good and crap, and no one And she's never getting far enough into them to actually hit the point where the mistakes would start showing up and the plot holes would start appearing in whatever her idea was. So she's never actually learned how to make a fully functioning idea.
Okay, yeah, that's a problem.
Plot holes? Is this the Avengers Endgame spoiler cast? I'm ready to discuss it.
You will be banned.
You will be kicked, banned, and muted faster than you can get past the first sentence.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Jorp, but that would in fact violate the NAP, and I would be required to McNuke you.
What is an NAP?
Non-aggression principle.
Ah, well, don't worry. I haven't seen the fucking movie yet.
I haven't either.
You know, it's
how long is a chapter from Sakura Demon Alchemist? It's typically around 4,000 words. So I mean, it's an actual chapter, but it just stops. But yeah, Sakura Demon Alchemist has devolved, and Quartermass especially these days, they've both devolved into writing Harry Potter crossovers, where it's like, oh, hey, it's Harry Potter in X world, and we get like 10k words into the story, and then it's immediately dropped, and then moved on to Harry Potter in Y world, 10k words into the story, and then immediately dropped. And they're all just, some of them are genuinely okay. I mean, I'm going to admit I have a couple of them on my favorites and follows just in case someday they ever get updated. But there's so many where it's just like, how are you even going to explain this? Like, Harry is raised by Shiro. It's just like, how the fuck are you going to explain that one, mate?
Well, that's the problem, Sneaky. They started because they're like, this is an interesting idea. Not necessarily saying that one is, because I don't think for a minute that
they
is.
think it's an interesting idea.
Right. It's an idea that they think is interesting, and then they just start writing it, and then they hit the plot holes and go, fuck.
And then they just drop it, and yeah. But yeah, basically my point was that they also do a lot of bashing. A lot of Sakura Demon Alchemist and a lot of Quartermass stories these days are like, Ron is actually hyper evil, greedy capitalist, and Molly just potions everyone, and Dumbledore is actually the Illuminati, and yeah, it just really just.
So Harry's a girl in this one,
Yeah,
but
Harry's...
she's still named Harry?
Yes, Harry's a girl in this one.
We already complained about that bit of idiocy.
Yeah.
Damn it! I missed the best part, obviously.
Yeah, so the this is one of the worst forms of doing crossovers when it comes to Harry Potter and any sort of Japanese title. Is a lot of people would be like, oh, Harry ends up in this anime world, and everyone calls him Harai because I'm unoriginal.
I don't know. I would watch Harry Potter in Outlaw Star. That's one with some real potential.
They should go for Harry. They should go on from Harry Potter at some point. What do you mean they should go on from Harry Potter?
I think they mean move on from this fucking story.
Yeah, like we should dump Harry Potter in the same landfill we put the fucking E.T. video game and just never come back to it as a franchise.
Know what we really need to do though is first we need to dump J.K. Rowling into that landfill.
Yes.
What I like is that as time has gone on and she's tweeted more and more absurd, ridiculous things and completely failed at her fake wokeness, everyone else has been like, yeah, she's just a fucking crazy nut.
Well, when you get to wizards literally shit their pants and wipe their ass with magic, you've reached the absolute state of what you can do with Harry Potter.
Well, and here's the problem, right? I once said, when you want to make magic commonplace,
okay.
show me what fantastical magic ability that your magic hobos are unimpressed by.
I'm sorry,
takes
wiping
it a
your
little
ass with
too
magic
far.
wasn't enough for you? That's not impressive?
But that's what I'm saying. That's taking it a little too far. Like when they're like, oh yeah, someone just fucking turned into a dog in front of me, or teleport, or just appeared with a crack of thunder, and the hobo's just like, change. Got any change? I would just say, you know the guys in downtown Chicago who just don't give a fuck about anything.
Right? Actually, you know what would be interesting to me though? A Harry Potter fic where the Wizarding world went to war with like the human world, maybe say like World War II era, and actually see who would win.
Humans.
Humans.
That's what I'm thinking too. You know, it's fucking like Hogwarts gets nuked and like the fallout's there, and Voldemort's army and Dumbledore's army have to get together and like use Zyklon B to poison the humans' water supply. But it's magic Zyklon B.
Well, wasn't Rowling the one who said part of the reason America never got involved is because a gun would fix a lot of problems in that world?
No, it's so people commented because the handgun laws were actually put into place after Harry Potter stories, and so some people commented, well, why did Harry Potter never get a gun, or why did no one ever investigate using guns? And J.K. Rowling in the interview did straight up admit, going, yeah, guns probably would have just killed all the wizards.
Yeah, because a gun doesn't require a chant and a fancy wave.
Not only that, it's,
What guns are you using?
It's like, okay, so what if they have a spell?
Non-Adeptus approved guns.
What if they have a spell that like stops bullets? It's like, okay, well, they have to know they have to cast the spell in the first place because snipers. No,
not even snipers. Just a normal assault rifle.
Well, in some of the movies,
Hell,
though,
if we look at just normal World War II,
but what I'm
just
saying is
standard infantry rifles is a few hundred yards.
Yes, I know, but so say the wizards, sees them. They activate the spell, the person shoots at them, the bullets bounce off or whatever, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get that. But it's like, some fucker is hiding in the bushes from like 1,000 yards away and he's plinks you. It's like, what the fuck you gonna do? Like,
well, I was gonna say, there's also the preferred method for removing presidents from existence, which is just walk by them on the street and shoot them in the gut.
I'm pretty sure in one of the movies, I think it was the first Deathly Hallows, though, they were like magic zapping at each other without any chants or anything. They were just like rapid firing those things from their wands.
Yes.
No, so you can do like chantless and wandless crap. They're just like, it's hard and it's worse. The advantage is no one hears you going, Avada Kedavra!
Yeah.
It's hard and it's worse. That's about what they say about my sex life as I get older.
No, but the thing is that with sniper rifles specifically, is that they're so far away and the bullets travel so fast, is that you'll actually be hit by the bullet before you hear the sniper rifle fire.
That's some quantum physics shit right there.
Well,
that's just neat guns.
That's
just guns.
That's what happens when you break the sound barrier.
Yeah.
Fucking blowing my mind here, literally and figuratively.
But yeah. So she was just like, look, wizards can't beat guns. And as we all can see, we don't need, as Tokyo can attest to, United States doesn't need nukes to make someone's life hell.
We are perfectly willing to firebomb your ass.
Hell yeah, we are.
The United States really likes their firebombs.
Like, let's be clear here. Nuking people was bad. But what we did before that is worse.
It was necessary. It was necessary.
Here's the thing. I'm not here to argue what was and wasn't necessary. I'm here to say that purposefully dropping firebombs on cities we knew to be constructed out of 90% old wood was a dick move.
Just a little.
But they never fucked. We fucked Japan so hard. They are our best friends today. They will never fuck with us again. We gave them the atomic fucking wedgie, and now it's like a prison system where they come to us for protection.
Oh my god. You're awful.
I referenced the goddamn fan art.
Anyway, let's continue with this garbage.
Yeah, I want to hear this story.
Anyway, so Harry first woke up on June 6, 1 year and 2 months ago, and blah blah blah. She survived instant death. She was the girl who lived. Blah blah blah. She was 12. Blah blah.
Alright, so you're really gonna have to stretch it for me to understand how a British orphan gets adopted by a Japanese guy fucking around in America.
Okay, so this is what happened. So this is a sequence of events. So female Harry Potter goes to Hogwarts, gets sorted into Slytherin, and then
Goes to America because that's where the politicians learn.
No. Then wakes up in My Hero Academia verse on June 6th in Japan. So during her summer between year 1 and 2, she apparently was hit with Avada Kedavra again. And got teleported.
Well, here's the thing. Assuming anyone other than
Japan.
Lord Noseless the fuck up does it, Harry's just screwed, right?
Wait, what about Harry being screwed?
I'm saying, assuming anyone other than Lord Noseless the massive cock up hits Harry with Avada Kedavra, Harry just dies, right?
No, the whole thing was that the Avada Kedavra cuts the soul out of the body or some shit like that, but because Harry has a Horcrux, he can sacrifice the Horcrux to the Avada Kedavra instead of himself.
Okay, but even assuming you do that, like, surely one of the, and I'll use this term loosely here, intelligent Death Eaters like Lucius Malfoy would be like, that was weird, let's try it again!
I mean, honestly, I would have just been like, bomb curse. Oh,
yeah,
Harry is giblets now. Looks like he ain't surviving that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there are many, the bomb, or just, you know what? Something nice and muggle. Push Harry in a fucking river.
Oh, there's the train. Oh, there goes Harry.
Oh, look, it's the magic train that no one actually drives. Oops.
Yeah, basically. So anyway, so blah, blah, blah. She wakes up in Japan. She realizes she's in Japan. Blah, blah. And then a hero was...
Alright, no. How the fuck does Harry know that Harry's in Japan?
Because she does. Because, she grew panicked when she realized she wasn't in her home anymore. The author never tells us how Harry figured out, A, she was in Japan, and B, that she was on a different world. But she did, trust me.
Well, here's the thing. Different world, relatively easy to get to when you see, people jumping around and dudes with, like, frog ears and all that shit. Like, I'm not, like, you see that, you're gonna go, I'm not in Kansas anymore. Or, well, Harry will, because he's a filthy Brit, but...
Oh my god.
That's a pretty easy leap to make in the My Hero universe.
I
As
think
for going,
you just
I'm in
saw what
Japan.
they're saying in chat, Sneaky.
Fucking chat. I swear to God, I'm gonna get banned by Twitch one of these days. Not for shit I'm saying, but for my fucking chat.
Because of it's specifically Jorp and Arn.
Well, that's why I said it. That's why I typed it in the chat. I didn't say it out loud. It's not on you anymore.
No, actually, according to Twitch
It's-
guidelines,
according
it
to
is.
Twitch, it is. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
the dumbest shit ever, but it's whatever. I don't care. If we get banned here, we'll just move to somewhere else.
If we get banned here, I'll let you stream from my channel.
We appreciate that.
We'll
probably
wait,
make more money.
We'll become
Actually,
a media conglomerate. Politics
Yo, I'm
is
down for
fanfiction.
conglomerating.
To be fair, Sneaky, we have like 3 or 4 backup channels if this one gets banned.
I know.
We just have to rebrand it something slightly different each time.
This is religious discrimination.
Just use me as the litmus test. If they haven't banned me yet for the shit that I do say on my channel, they're not after you.
Not only are we too small time.
Hold on, guys. Arn actually brings up a fair point. I can make a religion out of this.
No, we're not. You're not starting another cockamamie religion.
By U.S. guidelines, we have rituals, my sayings, the bad fan fiction we read, talking about shit. We have meeting times, twice a week, every single week, at the same time. You have me, the leader of the group.
I hate you. Please stop. Look,
I am going to make the Church of Fanfiction, and so then when I inevitably get banned in the future, I will declare religious discrimination.
Yeah, man, I feel it. It's a fucking religion now.
Don't encourage him.
I just...
I would also like to say that this is more pointing out problems with the U.S. system than anything else.
You know what makes this worse?
What?
Technically speaking, I'm like your shadow benefactor.
Wait, does that mean we can be tax-free?
Hell yeah, it does.
Please don't do this.
If
If you never listen to me ever again...
Are we gonna wait?
Please
Hold
make
on.
this a
Are
thing
we gonna
that you
become
never do.
televangelists for the Church
No.
of Fanfiction?
Yes.
Oh, God, no.
We're gonna nail this.
Listen, I'm down for a private jet.
We're gonna nail this like Jesus to a cross.
Yeah, boy.
I knew it was coming. I'm not disappointed. I'm just annoyed.
I sensed it coming, and...
Oh, I saw it coming a mile away. That doesn't mean I'm not annoyed.
Now we can oppress the women, and if they say anything's wrong with it, we just claim religious discrimination.
Exactly.
No, we will not be doing that. The only thing we discriminate against here is stupid fucking authors.
Well, most of which are.
And they are the Antichrist for our fanfiction.
Fuck this. I'm gonna go play Dungeon.
In the Harry Potter world, is it possible to
Oh,
magic your
boy.
gender? Can you magic your gender from one to the other?
I mean, you can take a
If
polyjuice
you've read some of the
potion.
fanfictions, yes you can.
I meant in the canonical world.
Well, sort
I
of.
have no idea.
Okay, so there's this potion called the Polyjuice Potion, which lets you turn into anything as long as you have its hair. And anything as in any person, as long as you have its hair. And
And you can do it you can do it for an extended period of
so
time, too.
technically speaking, if you took the opposite gender's hair, you would turn into the opposite gender. It wouldn't be you as the opposite gender, you would just be them. But also
Well, yeah, no,
their
but it's
gender.
like if Ron takes a Polyjuice potion with Hermione's hair in it, he's going to be Hermione.
Yeah.
So really, what you need to do is you need to tweet J.K. Rowling and ask if the junk changes when they drink a Polyjuice potion.
That is an important distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing: either you're catering to one fetish or another, depending on the answer.
Oh, I mean, the other thing is, so basing off of that, canonically, no asterisk technically, but if there's a potion to turn you into a completely different person, I would say it is not out of the realms of believability for Harry Potter. For there just to be a potion that temporarily or permanently turns you into the opposite sex.
Well, these are some wacky scenarios. Like, what if your mom and dad, after you were born, each did a potion to transform into the other one, and they raised you for like 18 years, just as the other one? Like, your mom's actually your dad, and your dad's actually your mom, and they never told you.
They do actually say that there's if you do that extensively, it causes like life-threatening complications. It's not meant to be done for extended periods of time.
Yeah. Because it basically rearranges your insides, and so it's, not typically the idea of health.
Well, I mean, I rearrange someone's insides all the time, and they're just fine.
Right, but you're not doing it at a molecular level. Unless you're got some real impressive stories for
Well,
us.
technically speaking, you could call it molecular.
What? You want to try that again, Captain Drunks-a-lot?
No. Cledwin wrote a Harry Potter times Kingdom Hearts fic. Jesus Christ.
Come
Times
on!
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts is already trash! It's a piece of trash that holds a dear spot in my heart. But it's trash and I know it.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had this discussion so many times.
Now that I've had this drink, let's keep going.
Oh boy.
And then she was talking about... Wait, the fuck? And she was talking about the sickly, scrawny Toshinori and not his Americanized hero stereotype persona.
Oh, sweet Christ, I forgot about this. Also,
Yeah.
point of fact.
Yeah.
First of all, Americanized hero stereotype persona. First of all, he chose to do that. So
Yes.
don't call it Americanized, you cheap hack. Like, yes, it is American, but first of all, the author picked it, and then he said in the books, he's like, All Might wanted to be a symbol of peace. And who does that really? Who did all that in the comics really well? America.
I mean,
not gonna say it in reality.
Literally, like, we literally have we still do, kind of. We have a policy called Pax Americana, which was taken from Rome, who did Pax Roma, which is peace through being the biggest bitch on the block.
We also have the policy of America, World Cop.
That's Pax Americana.
Yes, it's part of Pax Americana, but like they made it its own specific thing too.
The world believes.
But in addition to that, yes, thank you, Covert. Thank you kindly. Like, the other thing they seem to forget is, guess what? Even when he's not being All Might, Toshinori is still super cheerful, brash, and a little bit rude.
Yeah.
Less so than All Might, but not to a very appreciable degree.
Nope. He just exaggerates a bit more. Anyway, so Toshinori was the first real father she had ever had, and blah blah blah. Vernon Dora,
Like I say,
horrible.
basically, the
blah,
author
blah.
just doesn't understand that All Might's All Might all the time. There's just a difference between All Might between Toshinori and Toshinori hamming it the fuck up.
Yep. Dumbledore wanted to control her like a puppet master. Blah blah blah. Apparently, we made it to the wait. What the fuck?
For some reason, we're talking about.
For some reason, we're talking about third year. She may have saved him from the veil. Wait, what? What the fuck? She had been 12 when she arrived here. That's fifth year shit.
I think the author de-aged Harry to 8 instead of, was it 11?
Well, that's
when
its
they go
own
to
series of
Hogwarts?
horrible issues.
Well, no, because the events of fifth year happened when Harry was 15.
No, I know. Sorry, they go to Hogwarts at the age of 10, right? 10 or 11?
11-ish.
Yeah,
10,
so
11.
it looks... The author mentions that Harry had responsibilities since age 8. So it looks like the author de-aged Harry for this for some reason.
Wait, what was the age of 8?
The moment she was 8, Harry had responsibilities and expectations shoved at her.
She shouldn't have those things shoved at her.
Like, right above where it talks about
Oh,
Toshinori.
no. He didn't de-age them. He got the fucking timeline wrong. So the author had Harry Potter's first year take place when Harry was 8 instead of
Oh, so
11.
the author's dumb, which we already knew.
Yeah, so instead of being 10 or 11, they were 8. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So, author can't even get their own timeline straight, even when they're doing an AU. Yeah, 8-year-old Harry, they definitely want to fucking fight against... Yeah.
This is not a good story.
No.
Look, I can't say that. Almost never is anything on
Okay,
this channel
look.
a good story.
This just reminds me of I got so angry. This is way back in the day. I got so angry at this Naruto story once, and because in the Naruto story, the author said that they were going to extend the age that everyone graduates from the academy at to 16 because they wanted to write smut shit. And
I don't think they did their math right.
And I'm just like, well, I mean,
Oh no, there's the disturbing possibility they did their math exactly right.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you realize, like, literally everything would fucking change, like character reactions to things and how everything would be handled. Like, you're going to treat 16-year-olds way differently than you're going to treat a 10-year-old. Even if that 10-year-old is even if the 10-year-old is a child soldier in your army, you're going to treat the 10-year-old a little bit different. Even if that little bit difference is just, I don't think the 10-year-old can win a fist fight versus a guy that swings a sword the size of the 10-year-old.
I mean, what if it's a really fucking built up like he's been working out for the last 6 years? Like
I was gonna say, where's the picture of that little kid that was fucking roided out?
Yeah, well, the kid was roided out.
Yeah, you don't know. You ever watch Beyond Scared Straight or whatever? They got the fucking kids in the jail trying to scare them straight. Some of them kids are hard as shit.
But it's just.
He'd catch a katana, man. He'd catch a katana, break it in half. He didn't care.
And Vision, in Britain it's 16, and in Japan it's between 14 and 18 as well, in terms of age of consent.
But unless they look like they're 8, but they're actually 8,000.
Yeah, you see, they are 500,000 years old.
What's the one for Shield Hero? I'm only 10, but I look like I'm 18, so it's cool.
That wasn't Shield Hero.
That's what she's trying to get him to believe.
I don't know these new animes. The only one I know is Washu from Tenchi Muyo.
No, what she was trying to get him to believe was that she matured physically when she levels up. And mentally.
I was gonna say, the physical is true.
No, they do. Physically they mature as they level up.
That's what I'm saying. She was trying to convince Nafumi of that. But Nafumi still looks at her like she's the 10-year-old.
No.
That changes.
Well, yes, obviously changes.
He still treats her like a daughter. Like, he's not getting out of the father mindset. We're actually 14 books in, and he's still like, this is my daughter.
No, put dick in daughter.
To the point he's confused. Why does she keep hitting me?
Literally, it takes until post-story completion. It was 400. According to the author, it was 400 years after the story was completed that Nafumi and Raph actually got together.
Oh.
Yeah, it only took several centuries. But the ship sailed. Eventually.
The ship sailed when Naofumi thought it was finally safe.
Yeah, basically. But anyway, so blah blah blah.
Okay, it's been 200 years. No one's gonna accuse me of anything, right? Right.
Blah blah.
Don't look back through your Twitter posts, man. That Me Too shit lasts forever.
Blah blah. Oh, yeah, but even though Harry was placed into Slytherin, she was still best friends with Hermione. And they created a grimoire with literally every spell, charm, curse, and potion in existence.
Do you mean grimoire?
No, he means grimoire.
Max, he's retarded. Don't hold it against him.
Harry, much like her friend, added a few things in too, like every ancient rune, and all muggle ingredients, and household charms, and every spell in existence. So now Harry knew all the spells ever.
All I can think about is like a level 2 wizard mugging Harry Potter and fighting that.
Exactly. And,
I don't know what 3/4 of this shit is, but as soon as I do, y'all are fucked.
I will learn it. She's so glad that she did write all this stuff down, because when she arrived in the My Hero Academia world, her wand exploded into fire and burned a phoenix into her arm. Okay. She learned how to do wandless magic because All Might helped her do it. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my god, this cooking's so good. Yep, Harry is the best at cooking. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Harry Hime will be helping you learn how to use my powers. Blah, blah. She
Why?
smiles evilly. Because reasons. Because why else would the main character have any excuse to get involved in the plot? Of course, because he has to help the main character of the other story.
See ya, Isley.
Bye,
But
Isley.
Well,
Again,
alright,
this is
guys,
just
I'm gonna have to
annoying.
take a leave here. Got something that just came up. You guys
Oh,
have a
no.
great rest of the show.
Alright, George.
Alright,
Peace
later.
out.
Alright,
No,
later,
he was
guys.
reading Isley.
No, I was serious.
He's gotta go meet a man about a horse.
Yeah, I do.
Or a horse about a man.
Exactly.
That's pretty meta. No, but seriously, I gotta get back to work. I'll see you guys later. Have a good
Alright, see
show.
ya, George.
shit,
Thanks
yeah,
for
go.
hopping in.
Yeah, later,
Thanks,
guys.
buddy.
Did you ever look at someone besides you and the first thing that came to mind was their green eyes? Well, considering I have facial recognition problems, I don't even see eyes. I don't really generally see faces either. It's mostly clothing. Styles of clothing and hairstyles and voice is basically how I differentiate people. Which is why I constantly confused Atin for someone else that looked somewhat like him and dressed somewhat like him.
Luckily, I'm an obnoxious asshole, so that stopped fairly soon.
Yes. Like, I would straight up call him the other person's name. I did it like a couple times too, didn't I?
You did, but here's the thing. I was never bothered by it because, A, you remember how, like, I'm terrible with names. You remember it took me, like, 3 weeks to get your name right. And I was
No.
like, oh, I like this guy.
Hey, remember when I did this thing, Sneaky? No!
What a beautiful budding friendship you two share. Really tugs on the heartstrings.
I mean, it eventually turned into whatever the fuck this is.
Yes. Clearly,
Yeah,
clearly
except
Atin benefited from this friendship. What else would he be doing on Tuesdays and Fridays for the last 3 years?
Probably could have been catching up on Gundam stuff, honestly.
Probably.
Playing D&D.
Yeah. Doing any number of
Birdie
things.
says she's
Could have had a night
special.
shift at something.
She doesn't see eyeballs. She just sees the black void of the human soul.
I mean, that's not special. That's normal.
Anyway, so, blah blah, Izuku was being tortured by Harry because she's such a mischievous minx. Blah 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 blah, canon stuff, canon stuff, canon, 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 canon. Canon, 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 canon. Description of Yui Academy for some reason. Canon,
What?
canon, canon.
Stop using their stupid pronunciation. Just say UA.
Oh yeah, Yui is your alma mater. If I could learn
I
heroics
want-
anywhere, it'd be
I
Yui.
want to hit this author. I just saw something as you're scrolling by. UA Academy, or UA in parentheses, like properly. Fucking.
But you see, they're a weeb, and UA uses English letters, and
Oh,
therefore
yeah.
it's not weeb enough.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much the description of this. Blah blah blah. Canon, fanboy, canon. Harry, come in here and be different. Blah blah. I have a plan. It's called the aim to pass. Canon. I
would say, all this is still real dumb because you haven't explained to me how the fuck Harry Potter's gonna help a dude with super strength figure out how not to rip his limbs off.
Canon. Harry, come in here and be something non-canon. Okay, what am I gonna do? You're gonna shoot spells at Midoriya.
All Might, you know full well he'll rip his body apart if he tries to do anything with your power right now.
Oh, he doesn't have his power right now. Midoriya's just supposed to learn how to dodge.
This is the training, not the power.
Oh my god, are those birds? Where did they come from? Not the birds.
Oh, okay. So we're just taking Dragon Ball Abridged Piccolo teaching.
Yes.
Dodge!
Yeah. You know what? You should put a, what the fuck are those seeds called?
Senzu bean?
Senzu beans, yeah! You should put a senzu bean on that.
I mean, that probably would have kept him from breaking his limbs into tiny little bits.
Do you guys remember when senzu beans also filled you up for 3 days?
No.
Senzu beans are actually lembas bread.
No, no, like, back at the old Dragon Ball, they healed
No,
you
Max, I know!
Yeah, that's what
That
they used to do. And then they forgot about that for some reason.
2006 for me? That was the last time I watched Dragon Ball?
That was just Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z?
I don't know, whatever was showing on Adult Swim.
Dragon Ball Z.
Actually, it's been a hot minute since I touched Dragon Ball.
Oh no, if it was 06, that might have been GT even.
No, it probably was GT. Harry Potter. Okay, why did Harry's name change to Harry and then back? Alright, so basically is whenever the point of view is from Harry's point of view, the author writes Harry, as in RRY. But whenever it's written from the point of view of the Japanese, they do HARI, because they want to be weeby.
Oh, don't forget they also do this all the time so that it's, you know that it's Harry with tits.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
That's what the I is for.
Yep.
So you think of boobs.
Exactly, nailed it. Nailed it like whoever the fuck that was listed in the shipping chart's gonna nail Harry. Bada bing, bada boom. Blah blah blah. Canon stuff. Izuku's training. Canon. Hey, Harry, are you ready to do non-canon things? Sure. What do I gotta do? All Might, are you ready to go to school? Yeah, I'm ready to go to school. Alright, blah blah. Really bad. Okay, so this is some really bad comedy. Do you have everything? Yeah, I got everything. Do you have gym clothes? I got gym clothes. You got pencils? 1 and 2 pencils. You got ID? I got my ID. Do you know what you're gonna do? Dad, I'm gonna be fine. Oh my god, you called me Dad. Oh my god, I called him Dad. I'm so embarrassed.
But why? He's been raising you since you were like 8. In fact, it should be pretty darn natural to call him Dad.
Wasn't that just the best comedic back and forth, guys? Wasn't that just, like, so funny?
Yeah. Really funny. Can we move on to a different story now and not touch Harry Potter for like a week?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, you know what? I agree. We will move on to another story, and I'll even throw in your other request of not touching Harry Potter until next week.
Thank you.
No, he didn't say next week. He said a week.
Max, I'll take what I can get from it.
Oh, gee.
I know full well that he heard me, and I know full well that he's mishearing me.
Oh.
See, now that was better comedy than the shit that I just read. And that was lowbrow comedy. Blah 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 blah. You're from Shinso High. She couldn't believe that she recognized him. You're Shinsa was avoided because of his quirk, while she was avoided because she was a freaky witch girl, according to everyone.
Yeah, I'll be back in a moment.
Yes, you are Yagi Shiharazadoa-san. Shiharazadai. That was her name. Harry cursed Cyrus for ever suggesting that name to her parents. And to make it worse, it was pronounced in Japanese even worse. Wait. Then what the fuck is her name, author? It's Hari, or Harry, or Shirazadai. One of these things is not like the other.
It's almost like the author is retarded.
Yeah, it's almost. It's almost. Are you applying for the Department of Heroics, General Education, blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah. Harry dispensing valuable wisdom, being a very, very, very wise 13-year-old. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah. Thank you, Yagi-san. Don't call me Yagi-san. Yagi-san is my dad. Shiharazoda-san, then. That's even worse. Call me Hari.
How about we call you done with this fucking story, eh?
Blah blah. Wait for Daddy, Harry Hime. I'm coming. You know what? I think we're done with this story.
Oh, thank Christ.
You know what? After that line, I think I am finished with this story. Okay. How about Warhammer Ruby?
Fuck it. Can't be worse.
John Ark, the Blood Angel.
Alright. It can be worse.
After being abandoned by those he trusted and shunned by the students of Beacon, John Ark leaves to find his own path.
Haven't we read this?
No!
I could swear we read something with John getting kicked out of Beacon and becoming a Blood Angel.
No, we read one where he got kicked out of Beacon and became a mercenary that hired the entire Overwatch team.
I remember that. I'm saying I could swear we've seen one of these.
Oh, it's no one might read this, so...
Isley, back me up here. Damn it, Isley left. Son of a bitch.
Anyway. But he's grievously injured. Sorry, I'm gonna have to get to the tube for this one. He is saved, and he discovers his own heritage as the true Chaos. Oh my fucking god. Something dark is coming to Rutland, and only John and his Blood Angels have a chance of stopping it. Can John overcome his pain?
No, hold on, Sneaky. There's
Remnant for the Emperor.
Sneaky, I'm pretty sure there's a voice modulator to make you sound like a Space Marine.
There probably is. I don't have it. So the best I got is a tube.
Anyway, on with this shit show.
So, I recently got into playing Warhammer 40k and got real interested in the Blood Angels, and I read the story The Lost Sons.
Of course they got
Oculus
interested in it. You know
Parador.
what? At least it isn't the Ultra Smurfs.
I decided to have my own go at a Warhammer Ruby Cross. The basics of the story is that Remnant is under the Imperium's rule, but when they sent the Imperial Guard to colonize the planet, people on Remnant at time refused to bow down and after negotiation agreed to leave Remnant in the Imperium, but they were to rule as they pleased so long as they caused no issue for the rest of the Imperium.
Would literally never happen.
No. They would
The
just kill
most
everyone.
they'd be able to get is the right of self-governance. But they're still gonna have to make their ties to the black ships. They're still gonna have to supply guardsmen. Fuck's sake! The Militarum would be like, so wait, y'all are like Space Marines and Psychers, but you don't have Chaos powers?
That's some heresy right there. That might be a purging.
Well, no, it would only be a purging if they were found to be tapping into the warp. But even then, they might just all become sanctioned Psychers and get minders.
That might be some mutant heresy though.
Here's the thing. It would really depend on who found them.
That's true. That's true. Kane would do pretty good.
Yeah.
Creed.
Oh, dude, if Creed found them, he'd be like, yo, we have a new Cadia.
Guys, I have a plan. Simultaneously, all 4 Chaos Gods shit themselves.
I have a plan! What did he just say?
I feel a disturbance in the Force.
Somewhere, Zinch becomes afraid.
Autistic Zine screaming.
This was not what I planned!
You thought it was a battalion of Space Marines! Ha-ha! The joke's on you, it actually is a battalion of Space Marines. But they're better!
Yeah, guys, I made the Primaris Marines. Okay. They're normal Marines, but better.
Anyway, blah blah blah. The Blood Angels were sent to Remnant along with the Adeptus Mechanicus to make use of the materials Remnant had.
If the Mechanicus showed up on Remnant's gonna be turned into a fucking strip mine, my dude.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it, but
No, I can totally see it. It's just Remnant's going to be turned into a strip mine.
that's a pretty heavy AU, yeah. Check my Discord, Amo. I pinged you. I posted something you would like to see.
Oh, Christ.
Yes, here we go. Yeah, Disney, yep, the Disney shares. Yeah, I know. The returns on that, yeah. That's an old one though. That was
It doesn't matter.
so that away. Disney can make you money. All you gotta do is believe.
Thought we banned you from goddamn singing.
I was on top of Wall Street Bets. I mean, that's just been a constant repost on top of Wall Street Bets because of, well, kind of obvious. Never gonna happen again, though. Blah blah blah. So blah blah. The Ark family, after the Great War, decides to join the Blood Angels. That's not how that works.
He has like 7 sisters. I'm sorry, they're not becoming blood angels.
During the time,
Sisters of battle, maybe, but
Ozpin, Glinda, Oobleck, Port, and Stronk were students.
also you gotta answer. I just thought of something really important.
Yeah.
What happens the first time anyone from Remnant ends up by a null? Like, that's a big, important question. Like, is Ruby, like, zipping along, excited to meet Commissar Kane, and then she eats shit because she can't be Flower Petals anymore?
Yes, probably. Also, all pretty much everyone on Remnant would be Psychers, because they're kind of just, like, impressing their soul upon the world, which is actually even worse than your mind.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? They've managed to do it without chaos. Here's the thing, as long as they could continue to do it without turning into daemon hosts, the Imperium will be like, can you teach the rest of the Psychers to do this? Because it seems to result in a lot less warpy shenanigans. And
But, yeah, but it's still, Nulls would actually be even worse then, wouldn't they?
I mean, it would basically be what happens whenever one of the Eldars around a null.
More or less, yeah.
Which, depending on the strength of the null, will range from migraines to, oh, I'm literally dying, please walk away.
And then there's that one Null that's so strong that reality erodes around her.
Okay, well, that's the head of the Sisters of Silence. She kills normal people. Like, completely non-psychically active people start dying around her because their soul is being destroyed.
And there's also Dante and Lamarte's arc, the twin brothers and the son of Sanguinus. After some time at Beacon, which I might write as a different story, they join the Blood Angels, where Lamartz falls into the Black Rage and Dante becomes a chapter master. However, the main focus of this story is going to be on John, because John is shunned by the students of Beacon for his falsified transcripts, even though he's part of the Blood Angels.
He falsified transcripts. Who the hell? His transcript is I'm part of the Blood Angels.
Yeah. He decides to leave Beacon.
That's your transcript.
He decides to leave Beacon and travel on his own. And he tries to travel through the Emerald Forest in his attempt to leave Beacon. And he is severely injured, and he is found by Blood Angel scouts. And then John's sent to the Blood Angel base to be healed and turned into a Space Marine. At the age of 18. I thought...
No, the scout would be like, if you want to live, here's the coordinates. If you make it, maybe we'll let you be an aspirant. This person clearly has no idea just how dickish Space Marines are to aspirants on their home planet.
Well, I mean, not only that, isn't it like the age for Space Marining someone is like really young?
No, No, because they don't start space, like, the process of making them a Space Marine until they're, like, in their teens. They start training them way before that.
Right.
Like, aspirants start getting trained at the age of, like, 8, but I don't think they get any of the surgeries until they're, like, or, like, any of the surgeries or organs until they're, like, 16, I think.
Right.
Hold on. You know what? Max, look up the process of making a Space Marine.
Max isn't here anymore, my dude.
He's in the chat. God damn it, Max. The one time we need you to be a consultant.
Yep. Anyway, so, blah, blah, blah. These events will be better told as the story progresses, and John learns more about the universe as he tries to hold back his red thirst. And blah, blah, blah. John... Okay, so... Oh my god, Jesus Christ. So it was actually really important that you read the author's note in this story, because apparently we're just starting with John already having been abandoned. So we're not even gonna like have a scene as to explaining why he's being abandoned by his team, or how he's being abandoned by his team, or why he's jumping off a cliff to go into the Emerald Forest to try and escape Beacon. No, we're just starting straight off directly into him turning into a Space Marine. Blah, blah, blah. How is he? He's doing good. Okay, continue. Turn him into a Space Marine.
Sneaky.
Will do.
Apparently the most valuable worlds for Space Marine recruitment are hive worlds, and they'll just go and take entire gangs.
Yeah, and then, like, whichever one survives.
No, I'm just saying, they'll just, like, show up. Alright, who's the baddest gang around? You get a chance to be Space Marines.
I mean, it makes sense if you survive that long on a hive world.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fairly good basis for survival techniques. I mean,
Yeah.
really, you really don't gotta teach them to live with nothing and make do with nothing. Blah, blah, blah. Ozpin looks off. Blah, blah, blah. Airlock into his office, and they discovered his body. He was abandoned by his own team and Team Ruby.
Oh, okay. No, Sneaky. I was off by my age. So, let's see. Okay, so the first set of organs is done from 10 to 14.
Yeah.
So 14 is the oldest. Now, however, it should be noted, this is important, that it's not necessary to do it at this age. However, best results are 10 to 14 years for Phase 1 to 3, Phases 4 and 5 is 12 to 14, then all the rest from 17 to 18. So basically, by the time the kids in Beacon are training to become hunters, most aspirants have become brothers.
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
what did I just come back to?
This author's got a really... this author played Dawn of War 2, and then was like, wow, Blood Angels are great, and then tried to merge it into the Ruby world, and doesn't know anything about Warhammer besides the fact that they played Dawn of War 2. And so they know jack shit about Warhammer. And they just handled it poorly, extremely poorly. And
They didn't do even a basic level of research.
And also, the author's note was actually a prologue to the story. And by say actually, I mean the author said what happened before the story started in the author's note, and then just started after that point in the story itself. And so he was just like, oh yeah, so, you know, all these big, massive events happened. And then he just starts right at the end of all of them. So he doesn't go into details about anything, doesn't, like, talk about any of these events or how they came about. Just, oh yeah, this stuff happened. Now let's get to this part where John turns into a Space Marine.
Yeah. Which, turns out, by the time John is going to Beacon, he's way too old to be a Space Marine.
Yeah.
Because, Max, by the time most of the kids in Beacon are training to be hunters, that's when people are becoming Space Marines. Full-blown Space Marines.
I see the issue now.
Yeah.
And it's not like Jedi training either, right? Where, okay, you know what, we can probably send the 16-year-old through Jedi training. It's like, no, we need to start implanting you with special genetic organs organs when you're 10.
Yeah. Beacon air duct, blah blah blah, blah blah. 4 men in golden armor, blah blah blah. Man strode forward, you follow me. Blah blah blah. Blood angels were known across remnant. Blah blah. Sanguinary guard. Dante, good to see you again. You know why I'm here, and I want you to know I did not want this to happen. And nobody was patrolling the academy grounds, the forest, or at any cameras. And Ozpin looked ashamed at this. Wow. So again, this comes down to the author pointing out a plot hole on how this all happened, acting like him in character pointing out the plot hole somehow ameliorates the plot hole having existed in the first place, which it in fact does not. Just because you point out that there is a plot hole doesn't mean having the plot hole there is okay. Oh, how did this happen? I don't know. It's unacceptable that it happened. Considering how calculating you are and how old you are, and yes, we've been tracking you through your lifetimes and we know all this stuff, blah blah blah. How dare you let my relative almost die? Oh, he's your son, of course. We're turning John into a space marine, and everyone was gasp shock. How could you ever force that? Oh, Atin, are you ready to get angry?
Sure.
Space marine conversion is inhumane. How could you ever force such grievous modifications onto a child?
So they are an idiot, and they do understand that it's supposed to be done to children. You think that's bad? You think that's bad, author? Let's talk about Imperial Cherubs. Sneaky, would you kindly take a detour to the Imperial Cherub section of the Warhammer Wiki?
Do I want to? No.
Probably not, but you're gonna do it anyway.
About to see some real bad shit.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Can't be any worse than what's been happening in the Degenerate Corner for the last, 10 minutes.
I'm not paying any attention to it.
The Cherubim are unique forms of construct created by the Adeptus Mechanicus for the Imperium. They take the appearance of small angelic children, intentionally with the intentional effort of symbolizing purity. Although cherubim are specially built for many purposes, some psychic inquisitors use them as familiars. Vat-grown and enhanced with bionics and anti-grav technology, they often swoop and chatter above the sepulchres and cathedrals of the ecclesiary and act as sycophants to priests and cardinals and inquisitors, babbling fanatical rhetorics in their high-pitched, querulous voices.
Now, first of all, go ahead and look at that picture over there on the right.
It's literally a vat-grown clone child that has been heavily augmented and mutated.
It's a baby.
Yeah.
It's a baby grown in a tube, then made into a tiny little robot to be a priest.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna add the guys who made Warhammer to the list of people who seriously need a fucking hug and some therapy.
So.
Like, making Space Marines is nothing.
Yeah.
Then there's the time a child was made into a host for the Emperor, and she literally died.
Yep.
The Emperor just used her as a meat puppet, and it burned her up from the inside because he was too psychically strong.
He's too thick for her. The Emperor was too thick for the child to handle.
You done yet?
I don't know, are you?
I mean, sure.
Blah, blah, blah. John should be wherever I put him. Blah, blah. You can't control your students. Blah, blah, blah. John will undergo training. See, if you want John to be a Space Marine, why weren't you teaching him how to be a Space Marine since he was 10? Because that's the age you're supposed to start, Space Marinising them.
Oh, no. They're starting... Sneaky, remember. Training starts at like age 8.
Oh, no.
They just don't start getting organ... Because here's the thing. They start training them to see if they're going to be any use at age 8.
I know, but what I'm saying is that... So, Dante, his father, is saying here that John will be wherever I want him to be, and I want him to be a Space Marine, and he was supposed to, go through your school and then become a Space Marine. And it's just like... He wouldn't have had to get into the school on fake transcripts in the first place if you had actually did the Space Marine training.
Like, shit, even just the... None of the cool stuff, right? None of the cool secondary hearts or, rib cage that's a solid mass of ceramic bone. Just the aspirant training would get him into Beacon.
Anyway, so blah blah blah, words and stuff, black rage, blah blah blah. He was worried about John, who felt the black rage, blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Lamardes awoke from his stasis because he felt the black rage, and he clenched his fist in anticipation. And blah blah, John was now a full Space Marine, praise be the Omniscience and Emperor.
What? I'm sorry, did they just have a Space Marine praise the Omniscience?
Yes.
There's like
blah,
3
blah,
chapters that
blah.
believe in the Omniscience.
And then we just have a bunch of index things. God, that was fucking awful. Alright, well, so you get your wish at TN. We end early. By early, I mean like by a couple minutes.
Hell yes.
Yeah, there's not much else I want to say today.
That sucked. The author did no research. They're dumb.
Yeah, just more low effort. Like, you could see the author was clearly excited to write this idea of theirs. But if you're so excited to write the idea, then maybe make sure that it's...
Correct?
Yeah.
Just make sure the research is solid.
Like this. It took me I literally just Googled Space Marine creation, and it took me straight to a wiki page, which, Sneaky, I'd like to point out, has also been updated to have Primaris on it.
Excellent.
So,
but see, the thing is that there's so many ways. If the author just wanted John to be a Space Marine, there's so many ways they could have handled it. Like, oh, Remnant's actually a world caught inside of a warp storm, so nothing can get into it. And John, was one day trying to train in the Emerald Forest and ran from an Ursa into one of the caves in the mountain and fell. He slipped and fell or something and slid down a tunnel, and he discovered a highly technological ancient tomb and, got turned into a Space Marine by the Autodoc there or some shit like that. Like, there is so many other ways.
or shit, like, you could just go with a super easy one of, like, a bunch of Space Marines found Remnant, told the Imperium, and were like, we want to leave this place alone, and every once in a while, we'll just grab people and make them into Space Marines, because they become Super Marines when we give them, the stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's
And just make it so that. And here's the best part about that. Then you can make it any fucking chapter. You want it to be the Space Wolves, you can make it the Ultra Smurfs, the Blood Angels, the Emperor's
the problem
Scythes.
is he wanted it to be the Blood Angels because he had played Dawn of War 2, and they featured heavily in Dawn of War 2.
Right. I was just saying.
Yeah.
My idea, you can make it any chapter you want, problem-free.
But it's like... It would be the equivalent of in this day and age, because this story was written recently. This is not a new story. This story was written in the past 2 years. In this day and age, this would be like the equivalent of like reading the first Harry Potter book, or like the wave arc of Naruto, and then writing a fanfiction story where it's like, 5 years into the future. Well, I don't really know how magic works, guys, because I only read the first book, but this is how I think magic works. Or I really don't know how Naruto would turn out 5 years into the future, so this is how I think what Naruto's abilities would be in 5 years into the future. And it's like, we already know that stuff. You don't need to, crank your noggin. You don't need to steam your beans trying to figure out what exactly the future will hold if, X event happens when you've, read part 100th of the entire, series. Like, we know what happens. It's there. You don't have to even read the rest of the stuff. You don't have to play the other games. You don't have to read all the books. Well, there's something called a wiki. You can just look shit up.
And again, like, that's what annoyed me. Like, all this crap could have been found with a 5-minute Google search. Like, you want to know everything about the Blood Angels and every important thing that happened to them, including Tzeentch coming up with the fourth most convoluted plot he's ever had to keep them from stopping the Red Thirst? 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which, incidentally, this bitch doesn't even like the Blood Angels that much, because that whole thing is far and away the most... Blood Angels have been part of some interesting stuff. That's by far the most interesting thing. Where Tzeentch was like, them curing this is a problem.
Yeah. It's so disappointing is what it really is. It's just so lazy. Oh, guys, I've come up with this idea of what I think might happen if XYZ. It's like, we already know basically what would happen. You just didn't bother to do the 10 seconds of research that would inform you of what would happen. Sure, you can be like, oh, this is an AU where it's going to happen this way. It's like, okay, well, where's your evidence that this would happen this way? Because as convoluted as 40K is, it actually kind of helps you as a fanfiction author. Because then it becomes very easy to be like, oh, well, this happened here, so why couldn't it happen here? And then everyone's got to be like, well, I guess.
Or like, oh, well, what about getting X to happen? You could just fucking Creed. Trazyn the Infinite.
Like, it's probably already
bitch-ass
happened in canon, so there's plenty of ways you can use it as an excuse as to, why it's happening here, but instead you were just like, I'm not gonna bother looking anything up. Who needs research when you can just talk out of your ass? And what did we end up getting? We got a really boring story, filled with its own plot holes, calling out its own plot holes, with more plot holes calling out plot holes.
Yeah.
And probably one of the more boring first chapters I've ever read. In fact, the only reason I'm even getting so angry over it is because of just the sheer lack of effort on the author's part. Because of how enthusiastic they were about it. Whereas they seemed to be about it. They seemed extremely enthusiastic, so you would think they wanted to do a good job. Like, you're not going to be enthusiastic about having diarrhea. I mean, you might if you're like 98, but not the point.
Thank you for the addendum, I guess.
The point being is that if you're so enthusiastic, I would have thought you wanted to try your best. Even if it's not great, you still want to try your best because you're just so pumped to do it. You're like, I want to get it right.
Yeah.
Even if you're wrong, at least you're like, you tried, but I can't even say you fucking tried.
Yeah.
Anyway. So,
We're done
everyone,
here.
that wraps up this podcast. I hope you all took a little bit of information away from this. Even if it
Just
wasn't
learn
what I
how
wanted
to make
take
a
away.
space marine, damn it!
Well, you see, when the mommy space marine has sex with the daddy space marine.
No, Sneaky, it's when a Sister of Silence has sex with a space marine.
Ah, yes, of course. But yeah, so anyway, we're here every single Tuesday and Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. And see you guys Tuesday, because there's always more and it always gets worse.